This Icon podcast is hosted and sponsored by Sphere Rocket Virtual Assistants, a leading provider for your virtual assistants and outsourcing needs. Owned by one of the top-ranking EXP agents, Justin Nelson. Sphere Rocket VA provides a one-stop virtual staffing solution for business owners, and we specialize in helping business owners grow their business by leveraging through virtual assistants. Trusted by the top names in the real estate industry like Kyle Whistle, Andrew Franklin, John Kitchens, and many more. Get ready to up your success and we'll help you achieve your business goals. Book your free consultation at sphererocketva.com and find out how we can make your life easier.
What's up, and welcome back to another episode of the Icon Podcast. I'm your host, Gianna, and special thank you to Sphere Rocket VA for making yet another episode possible. And Shelby, thank you for bringing the energy, and thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. So stoked to be here.
All the good vibes today. I can feel it. I can taste it in the air of this podcast, which is great. So Shelby, we would love to get to know a little bit about you, if you don't mind taking us back to the beginning. Where are you from? What market are you in now? And how did you find yourself in real estate?
Sure thing. Oh my gosh. Okay. Hi, my name is Shelby Osborne and I'm 31 years old and I live outside of Charlotte, North Carolina now. I have been in real estate for about 4 years. And it started though, back in the day, I went to college out of state and needed someone to pay for my college. So I was like, Army, what's up? Will you pay for it? And they did. I did ROTC, and then that means when you graduate, you have to repay them for the years you spent in service. So I spent the next 4 years and then a couple more, actually ended up 6 in the military. And real estate was never in my mind until I started getting increasingly frustrated with my job that I bet a lot of people before real estate can resonate with, of the frustrations and not wanting to do that 9 to 5. So I started looking for different alternatives to the lifestyle that I was in currently, and real estate investing actually was what came to me. So I'm an investor first, and I decided to get out of the Army and get my license as a way to make money. I was like, oh, it'll be an easy way to make money for my investments. That's hilarious because you guys are agents, so you know it's not easy. But I got my license and started, that was in 2018, was my first year as a real estate agent and an investor. And by the end of that first year, I was the Keller Williams Rookie of the Year for all of North and South Carolina and closed 48 transactions that first year. And then 2019 started the team, 2020, 21, and here we are. Okay.
The rest is history.
Sure, yes.
Well, what a great story, Shelby, and thank you for your service. That's an awesome, way to look around yourself at that young age and see, like, hey, I've got some resources. Let's put them to use. So that's great. Great story. Sure. And so, tell me what brought you to EXP. So you were an investor first, but then you said you were with Keller Williams. So EXP wasn't your first brokerage, and switching brokerages is tough. It's not an easy feat. So what about EXP presented itself to you that you're like, all right, I have to make this jump?
Yes. Great question. So I did not even know EXP existed back when I was first looking at firms. This was back in, it was the end of 2017 when I was starting to look, and I heard Keller Williams. I didn't hear of EXP. So I think everyone's heard of EXP by now, or at least most people. It's all over the internet. But I was at Keller Williams that first year and I did like it. But as I mentioned, I'm an investor-minded human. Like, it started with that mindset. And so the opportunities that EXP presented in regards to the stock options and revenue share and building a life now that would allow me to eventually retire out of all of those things are super appealing. And I also liked that EXP presented me with a little more forward-thinking opportunity than Keller Williams. So I'm the investor minded. So we're doing like cutting edge, whatever you can do to make a deal work. And the old school environment was not always pleased with the ways that I was getting shit done. So EXP was a good solution for me and the team.
Yeah, they're forward thinking, they're ahead of their time, they're really revolutionary. And like that investor side, you're like, ooh, stocks, ooh, this, ooh, that.
Totally.
I'm sure there were a lot of shiny amenities here at EXP that were screaming Shelby Osborne's name. And that being said, Shelby, you're over here now and you're kicking butt at it. You're an icon agent. What makes you say, I am never leaving this place?
Oh my gosh. So many reasons. So just like I mentioned, I think that the way that their business model is set up, if you are investor minded, if you are an agent who is thinking that if you don't do something now, then your next 5, 10, 15 years will look similar in the fact that you close and you're excited for 2 seconds and then you're like, oh, I have to close again. Where's my next deal? Where's my next money coming from? So
Yeah.
if that doesn't, so that like stresses me out, that thought that my entire future would look like that. So EXP and the way that the model is set up, that kind of builds a future for yourself. That's the reason why I'm never going anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the way that they've built, like you can have passive income and, with the stock options, there's opportunity for a retirement fund or whatever you want to use that for. At 31, retirement isn't at the top of mind. So, you could be looking at putting down a down payment in cash on your dream house or a lot to build your dream house or more investment properties, whatever that might be, Shelby. It's really cool to see all the avenues that EXP presents to its realtors.
Totally. Love it.
Well, Shelby, how do you take care of Shelby, right? So you are busy, you're investing, you're on burnout mode, you went to school, you've got a lot going on. So how do you make sure you're not in full on burnout mode all the time? How do you practice work-life balance?
Yeah, that is such a good question. And it's something that I struggle with actually every day. Because when you're first starting as a real estate agent and as an investor, you're completely building businesses from the ground up. And that's what a lot of people don't understand about the real estate agent in particular. They're like, you just open up a door and you show someone a house and you get paid thousands of dollars.
Oh yeah, that easy. It's that simple, right?
Right. So it is very, very difficult that you're building not just what people see, but all of the marketing and all of the foundation behind it and the systems and the structure. So in order to build that for the agent and the investor side, I chose to be in grind mode almost all the time. And so now trying to break that habit, because it is a habit, you wake up and you work all day, is challenging. But what I would say has been successful for me is the use of my calendar. So I'm huge on calendar, and I know that if I don't have it in the calendar, it won't happen. So in order to schedule time for myself, for my relationships, for my own self-development outside of just business, I put the time blocks on the calendar and then respect what I've put in there for myself.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, of course, you're setting those boundaries, and once that's in your calendar, you're committed, right? So you're like, okay, I'm going to lunch with this person this day, whether this is personal, this is business, I'm committed to that time. If I have something else pop up, I'm just going to have to say, hey, I've already got a commitment. Let's reschedule that. Not only for, your reputation of, hey, does Shelby show up?
Right.
But your sanity, right? There's no way you can be two places at once at the end of the day. That's just a fact. You can't.
Yes, absolutely.
So respecting your own boundaries is great. It's a great tactic. Many, many icons use that same concept. And so I think you're doing it right, obviously.
Woo!
He's got the life hack to it, folks. So Shelby, you're in North Carolina, and you said you were Rookie of the Year for both Carolinas, which is really cool. And so I want to know a little bit about the Icon Award through your eyes, right? So through Shelby's eyes, what kind of production do you have to do in your market to hit the Icon Award? What do those benefits mean to you? Which ones are your favorites from the Icon Award? And on top of that, the cultural piece of it, how are you giving back to EXP? Are you a mentor? Are you teaching? What is Shelby Osborne's icon?
Oh my gosh, there's so many questions. I was trying to figure out the first one on my little calculator, but we moved on.
We don't have to talk exact numbers either, too. We just want an idea, obviously the icons I talk to in Alaska have to do a few more transactions than the icons I talk to in LA, right? So it's just a fun way for myself and as well as listeners to kind of gauge, what does production look like in North Carolina? What's production look like here? So we don't have to talk exact numbers. Don't stress about that.
Okay, cool. I'm getting out of my.
You're good.
Yeah, so that is a great question. So I started my real estate journey, and I know I'm in Charlotte now, but I started in Fayetteville, and I didn't even move to Charlotte till about a year ago. And in Fayetteville, North Carolina, that's right outside Fort Bragg, which is the military installation that I was at when I got out. And my average sales price that very first year in real estate was $135,000. So,
Wow.
so it's a and prices have increased a little bit, but overall, still the homes values are low, and we had to do some creative maneuvering to get around the fact that commissions were so low, like buyer premiums, and because we work with a lot of investors too, we're selling like $30,000-$40,000 houses, and if you do the math, 3% on that, not very much money. But yeah, so that first year I did 48. And since moving to Charlotte is very different though, because the average sales price here is like 350. So much better. But what I guess all of that means to me is I love the idea that you can put in the hard work and then the cap that you put into your team, you can earn back in the form of stock. Like that's amazing. But also like what I chose to do to give back to EXP was the teaching in EXP World. So I love doing that. I did a 6-part series on investment strategies for you and your clients. So that was really fun. And did I do it? Did I answer?
Yeah. You did it all. That's great. So okay. Back to EXP World, which is really cool. You know, it's exciting to be involved in EXP World because you're learning from the best of the best, and you're you know, impacting people out there that you may not even see tangibly, you know, but thousands of people can be taking a look at your videos and taking away so much from it. And so that's really cool. I think it's great that you do that.
Yeah.
And it's funny how like people will recognize you later. You'll see it at like shareholders in EXP. I'm like, oh, you taught this course. Like, it'll be cool to see the impact that you've made in person.
For sure. And that's one of the things that I really do like about EXP in general too, is that like when, you know, you're at a certain market center in another organization, generally your cap on what you can be taught is by the person who is most knowledgeable in that market center, in that firm. But with EXP, the fact that it is all, you know, the icons are the best of the best from all over the country and now the world. So you don't really have a cap as to what you are able to learn and absorb from others. So it's really cool.
Yeah, it seems to be endless. You know, something I like to share is one of the icons I had on here, he referred to EXP like a cruise ship, right? And there's so many amenities going on at the same time. Like there's Zumba on the front deck at 9, but there's also an all-you-can-eat breakfast buffet, and there's yoga on the back, and there's also like a parade at 9. So you have to choose which one is best suited to you, because there's just so much going on. And so there are so many paths that you can choose and pick and choose at EXP to really enjoy and build your own career here, which I think is really, really, you know, cruise ship was a great way to put it versus, you know, how sometimes it feels like you're trying to sip water from a fire hose, right?
Yeah,
like it's just
totally.
it was a much better way to explain it, which is great.
For sure.
Now, Shelby, you know, for those that are new, maybe they're new to EXP or they're new to real estate and EXP is their first brokerage. They see this icon award. Everybody's talking about it. You know, they're the best of the best. They're the most elite. What would you have to say to a newbie, you know, that's like, oh, should I strive for the icon award in my first year? Is that even possible? How could I even break this down? You know, what's some advice for reaching for the stars as far as that goes?
Oh my gosh. So anything is possible for sure. I would say that you can set your sights on the icon that first year, whatever you want to do, but then you need to break it down into actionable steps as to like, what's the most important next step? Because if you're constantly looking at the big picture, the big vision, then it's going to be so overwhelming because of all the things that you know that you need to do. So it's good to keep that direction and then bring it back and think about, okay, what is today the most important thing that I can do to move my business forward? And then once you have that, chunk it down either further. Because even a lot of times people will say like, I need to set up my social media so that way I can start, you know, putting a presence online. But even that is overwhelming because it's not small enough to be actionable. But if you have like, you know, create an Instagram account, create the bio that goes in it, pick pictures, pick captions. If you have them in little chunks, then you can start piecing away at the parts. And before you know it, you'll have accomplished a task. So I would say that both are important, that I call it air game and ground game. And having a balance of the two is what will keep you moving forward in the right direction at the speed in which you would like to progress.
Absolutely. That's great advice. Setting those down, not only to like, what do I need to do today, but what are some actionable items that I can actually execute today? Because like, it's easy to break it down like, oh, to Icon, I have to sell 3 houses a month, but like,
Right.
what do you need to do today? Do you need to hit up some of those warm leads? Do you need to, post on social media? Do you need to set up an open house? Do you need to start, whatever it is that you need to do that day? What are some actionable items? And I think that's a great advice to the newbies, Shelby. And then also for my next point, I'm sure at one point you were on the outside looking in, you saw EXP, you were a little skeptical, you were kicking butt at your other brokerage, and this was presented to you. You saw the grass was greener, but you heard things in the industry like, oh, you don't want to go over there. It's a pyramid scheme. They're a cult. Those people are crazy. So to somebody that's in those shoes, or maybe even, to yourself when you were on that fence, what would you have to say to cure that skepticism?
So my question would be, are those people who are saying that it's a pyramid scheme and saying they're crazy, are they in EXP or are they at a, yeah,
so
exactly.
At another brokerage, right?
Exactly. So if you go to a Ford dealership and you ask about a Ferrari, they're going to be like, no, you don't want that. It's too expensive. That's crazy. So that's just one of the things you have to be aware of. Of course, the people at the firm where they want to stay are going to be talking shit, man.
Yeah, of course, duh.
Yeah, so that. And then I would also say that, like, even if it sounds crazy, I really do think that they probably owe it to themselves to take a look at the opportunity, whether or not they find out it's the right one for them. That's totally fine. But if you keep the door shut on opportunities and you don't dig into things that could potentially be a great fit for you, you are hindering your own ability to hit your own goals, and maybe do what's best for you and your family and create the life that you want to do. So it's kind of bigger than she said that, it's not a good fit. It's like, no, I think you owe it to yourself to actually take a look and make that decision for yourself.
Right. Check out the model, really understand it. Don't just go to lunch with an EXP agent just to sit there and hear them, but not really listen. You owe it to yourself, and you'll find a lot of Icon agents will actually, if a new brokerage is presented to them, they'll go to lunch and they'll hear you out on it, because if they find something better than EXP, they're going to leave. But here's the thing. It doesn't exist. There's nothing better than EXP right now. There are people trying to be. There are people trying to copy the model, but it's not going to catch the same traction.
For sure.
It's great. Well, Shelby, I think it's been an awesome episode. I think you've brought a lot of energy and a lot of excitement from EXP, and, really gave viewers and listeners an inside look at what it's like to be an Icon agent, as well as, somebody that's just rocking it in the industry. Is there anything else you would like to say so that you don't feel like you left anything unsaid?
Nope. Come hang out with me at Real Estate with Shelby on Instagram. And yeah, that's all I got.
That's great. Awesome. Well, Shelby, thank you so much for your time today. And I look forward to seeing you at Shareholders in EXPCon.
Sounds good. Bye. Thank you.
Thanks, Shelby.
This Icon podcast is hosted and sponsored by Sphere Rocket Virtual Assistants, a leading provider for your virtual assistants and outsourcing needs. Owned by one of the top-ranking EXP agents, Justin Nelson. Sphere Rocket VA provides a one-stop virtual staffing solution for business owners, and we specialize in helping business owners grow their business by leveraging through virtual assistants. Trusted by the top names in the real estate industry like Kyle Whistle, Andrew Franklin, John Kitchens, and many more. Get ready to up your success, and we'll help you achieve your business goals. Book your free consultation at sphererocketva.com and find out how we can make your life easier.